Going live. Still getting ready though. Okay, where are we going? Every day we need the most important thing is music. And I found such a good song. Listen to this as soon as it kicks in. Listen, let's see if you can hear it okay. Getting back on that chiptune hype train. Oh, it's so good. All right. This makes me happy. All right, cool. Let's get into sharing some screens. I hope you're hearing it as well as I'm hearing it. And what we were on yesterday. Actually, it's like really loud for me, so you better be able to hear it. We were on yesterday. We're building this friendly. Oh man, I can't even concentrate. The music's so good, but also too loud. We're building this weather app, and what I'm getting on today is we are going to be deploying this to Akamai EdgeWorkers. Akamai EdgeWorkers, and I want like the tech docs workers, which I think is this page here. What do we want? I want. So because we're looking at the location object, and we're going to grab that off of the edge worker, our edge worker has to actually provide that. So it does. There's this user location object, which is part of the request. So let's look at this request object. When I get a request that comes in, I get all of this information about the request, blah, 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 blah. And essentially, because I'm rebuilding a local dev environment, I need to kind of like recreate this version so that there's feature parity. Because this faker thing is not currently what I want to do. Right now, I'm generating a random city on demand, but that actually should be coming off of this request. So city is going to equal request dot, what is it? Oh, it's over. It was so good though. User location dot city. So that's what I want. Right, dude dot city. Now a couple things here is actually, let's get rid of that. Right now, we don't know, like this, we don't even know what this thing is. This could be anything, right? And if I try and reload, I should get an error because it's going to be undefined. Boom. So how do we fix that? Well, we were pulling it off of out of Faker before, and we're building our sort of dev server here. So this is I guess this is what's going on is we're passing the request from the node server directly to this response provider, and that request is coming in here. And we can see, well, console log, just the request, right? I mean, it's a node request, so what's this guy? Really? Create server is an HTTP request listener. So we're going to say you are a pipe HTTP request listener, which means we know that this is an incoming message, which means we know some details about the message, like request dot whatever, all of these things that we can get from the incoming message. Now, this incoming message, you'll notice, does not have a user location object. That's something that's specific to Akamai EdgeWorkers. So how do we fix this? Or how do we pass it on to here? Well, in fact, this request should not be, like this request object should not be a incoming message from the node HTTP server, it should be an EdgeWorker thing. An EdgeWorker, I forget what it's called. Let's see if I can look it up. It should be, where are we at? The request object is not really listed here, but we have, there's a package called, let's see, definitely typed. And we can go here and we can do a search to see if Akamai EdgeWorkers are available. And sure enough, there's a package that gives us some type definitions for Akamai EdgeWorkers. So we're going to install that really quick. What happened? Okay, yeah. All right, that's our node request object. Did I not copy that? Copy and paste. Okay. And once we have that, we should be able to go to our code. Nope, that's not code. Go to our code and say that we want to actually generate a new request object. So this is the node request, and we're going to transform it. Transform request into an EdgeWorker request. Request object. Cool. Let's say node request object into EdgeWorker request object. So we're going to say const EdgeWorker request equals an object. And we basically need to steal some of the properties from the request, or what we can access, and pop them into this EdgeWorker request object, right? So this is going to change to that. And what we need to pass in, one thing is the user location, right? And let's actually make this, do a little better here and say that this is going to be a type of an EdgeWorker dot, what is it called? I think it's ingress client request. Cannot find name. So I should have that in my package.json. Okay. Do I have to reopen that so it reloads it? No. Okay. I think I've got a little, that namespace should be defined now. Okay, still not working. User location. Well, anyway, I need to, well, I kind of want to figure that out so it'll make our lives. Okay, no, it does know what this is. TypeScript is throwing an error, but this thing actually does know what this is. So there should be, is there? No, that's just an object, huh? Just weird. Okay, well, we can sort that out soon. What I want to do, though, is show how we can transform the code that we had working into the code that we want. And so because we're building this user location, I'm basically going to re-implement what we have here. So we should have a city, continent, country, region. So let's start with that. Here we want a city is Faker, and I need to actually bring that in now. Right, so it's no longer a dependency there. I like to put, what's going on there? I like to put node dependencies for, whatever, we'll do it like that. Okay, and then Faker should be next. And then this should be faker.address.city. Cool. And that's looking good, minus this little guy. EdgeWorkers is undefined. Oh, wait. That's annoying. But I'm going to have to fix that. What's up, Omri? Glad to have you here. I'm just kind of recreating some of the functionality in EdgeWorkers so that they exist in my code. So right now, EdgeWorkers provides us with this user location object. And because we're sort of building a local development environment, we don't have that available to us. Like you can't just running a node app like this HTTP create server. It's not going to be able to tell us what the location is. But EdgeWorkers can tell us what the location is because they pull that information from the server location. So what we're doing is basically faking it. So I want to generate a fake address, and I wonder if Faker.js. I wonder if Faker.js has a way to get, let's see, an address. That's cardinal. Yeah. What I would like, generate a random localized city name. So that's interesting because it generates a city name. I kind of would like something that returns a whole city object. What's the difference between city and city name? Beats me. Generates a random localized city name, returns a random localized city name. Okay. Okay, well, this is fine. What I'm going to be doing is taking some of this information and basically building out the things that are available in this location object. So continent, country, region. So let's see if GitHub if GitHub Copilot will help us out there. Doesn't look like continent is available. Continent is not available. So we're just not going to be able to generate that. Fortunately, if it's not available, we can just kind of use whatever the default is. So we'll just say, hey, sorry, it's not available. We've got region, right? It's going to be faker.address.state, I think. NA is... Oh, you're right. NA is North America. Okay, so what am I going to do that? I guess what I can do is leave it undefined. Right? Unless they say... I guess this would always be defined because... Yeah, okay. Oh, geez. Because... All right, it's doing my single sign-on stuff. Where is that pointing to? All right, whatever. So these are always going to be defined because what's up, Rugmac? By the way, these are always going to be defined because they're being generated on the server in which this edge worker is running. So technically, if it's undefined, it's out in space or something like that, right? So we'll just build the parts that we can. After all, this is like for dummy data, for dummy like local development data. So country and region. Let's go. Country is country, region. I think they don't have a region in Faker. So I think that's going to be the state, right? The region is the 2-letter code for the state, province, or region. So in this case, I think we're fine using a state. Country code, direction, latitude, longitude. That's nice. Yeah, I think state is probably going to be the best choice. So we'll have the state. Where's our thing? City. And I kind of like to go, what do we do? Top down or bottom up? Let's go top. Continent, country, region, city, top down, like biggest to smallest. What are the other things that we have available to us? Zip code, and that's it. City and zip code. Cool. So this is our edge worker request. It's being passed in to our response provider. I'm going to copy this guy really quick and say that this function, no, not that function. This function is, I wonder if I can type it this way. Instead of saying that, I can say type is going to be an edge worker. Whoa, edge worker dot something. And unfortunately, TypeScript is not liking this library. I might have that in a different project. Do we have definitely typed? Akamai EdgeWorkers. Is it going to tell me what's available? Okay. The types are here. There's my namespace. Header, header, mutate header. The request. Man, I don't want to get into all that. I'll do it the easy way. So I'm gonna leave that. Whoops. Leave that how it was, but then copy this guy so that our type definition is there. And that means that this knows that it's an EdgeWorker ingress client request. So it doesn't know what this is? No, because it's still not picking that up. I wonder if I have to reopen my VS Code. Can I quickly show how to implement getting the user's location? Also, what is Faker? Yeah, that's a good question. So there's there's a couple of things going on here. One is we're building out a weather app that's going to grab the user's location somehow. And we're deploying it to Akamai EdgeWorkers. So Akamai EdgeWorkers they implement a JavaScript runtime, so you can deploy a function to this like serverless environment. It's not the same as running JavaScript in the browser, and it's not the same as running JavaScript in Node, because Node, well, the browser is the browser, and Node is a JavaScript runtime that's essentially too big to deploy over all of these 250,000 locations. So they basically have a super, super tiny JavaScript runtime that understands the programming language, but doesn't offer all of the things that are built into something like Node. For example, the file system API or whatever. So what some of the things that EdgeWorkers does provide is a couple different ways for you to like methods to handle requests. And for example, we are using, which one are we using? The response provider. So by tapping into the response provider, we have access to, I don't know, certain functionality. But the way that you write a response provider is you're given access to this request object. So by exporting this function, the edge worker is going to execute this function for me, and it's going to provide a request object. And this request object is going to look different than it does on a node server, because after all, this is not a node server, it's an edge worker. So what we've been trying to do is build out this request object such that it looks and behaves similar to edge workers, even though we are running it locally on a node server. I hope that's clear, but that's essentially so I can build locally, make the environment look like edge worker, and then when I deploy it, it will actually work inside of an edge worker. So this user location is just a property that's provided to us. And inside of this user location, this object is going to have the city, the continent, the country, the region, and the zip code where the request is being handled. So as close to the user as possible. And essentially there's no way in Node to grab this information. So as I build out this local dev environment, there's really no way for me to get this information from my current location unless I hard code it. And because I want to imitate, because I want to imitate an edge worker that could be running all over the world, I want to randomly generate this city, right? So this one's running in Port Samir, this one's running in Iron Dequoit, right? So that's this is the real data for this city. Now, how do I randomly generate real cities? I mean, I could keep a list of all of the cities in the world, like West Haven, but it's much easier for me to reach out to a library like Faker.js, where it's designed to randomly generate all of this information. So with Faker.js, we have access to a library that makes it easier to generate on demand, a random address, animal, commerce, company, database, data type, like all of these things that you may need randomly generated. Here's a random word generator, right? So that makes my life easier. Less code to write, less code to maintain, and yeah, it'll clear up once you see it. Well, that's basically it. What I'm doing in the code is here's my local dev environment where I'm inventing an edge worker behavior or recreating edge worker behavior. I'm taking a standard node HTTP request and I'm generating a request that looks like the edge worker request object. Right now, all it has on it is the user location. The things that we'll need to build eventually are the HTTP method, the scheme that was used, the host, the path, the query, URL, CP code, user location, device, cache key, and some methods. A bunch of things. So I can build those as we go, or I can build them all up front. Right now, I'm just building the part that I need, which is the user location object. Cool. So with that user location object, in order to build it, I basically have to randomly generate fake data because there's no way for me to grab it off of the request object anyway. Okay, so what are some other things? Let's keep building that out, right? So I want to grab the HTTP method that was used, right? So let's see. Actually, I kind of want to get this freaking TypeScript working because that's going to make it way easier. Let me try something. If I close my project. If I reopen it. Is it just like, why is TypeScript not liking it? Okay, we're trying to load it this time. Okay. New version of VS Code. Cool, thank you. I'll check that out next time. Still not working. But this is no longer complaining. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just had to restart VS Code for some reason. So now it's complaining that this EdgeWorker request is supposed to match this ingress client request object, which is the request object that we get from EdgeWorkers. And it's saying, whoa, this thing is supposed to have way more properties than just user location. So if we look in here, we can see all of the properties now because we're using this type definition, all of the properties that actually should be on it. So let's build these out, right? Add header is a function, and I'm actually going to call this not implemented. And really quick, I'm going to create a function called not implemented equals a function that's just like that. Should be good. In fact, maybe we should even like throw new error, not implemented. Cool, right? So now this is going to be happy with type definitions. Add header is not yet going to be implemented. And then the next thing is cache key. So cache key, what is cache key? Is it also a function? An object manipulating this request's cache key, only present during on-client requests. So let's see, what is cache key? Cache key returns the methods that specify the HTTP response. See the cache key object. Okay, so that actually should be an object. And that's going to have some method on it, like that. Right? Cache key is now complaining because is missing the following properties from cache key. Include query string. So we've got include cookie, fine, include headers. It's that. We've got include query argument is not implemented. And this is one of the cool benefits of using things like type definitions, because I understand that sometimes I spend like a lot of time complaining about it or whatever, but that time is sometimes saved by doing this. And actually, I'm still doing this. I guess I'm still kind of wasting time from actually building out the project, but you know what? That's all right, because I want to have this. I want to have this working. CP code is going to complain because string is not assignable to type number. Okay, let's put in a fake number. Let's actually see, what is that CP code? CP code, unique identifier in the form of an unassigned integer that's used for reporting site traffic. So this is read only. So this is going to be a good candidate to use Faker.js once again, because it's only it's like read only and randomly generated for each request or something like that. So we're going to say Faker random number. Looks good. Faker is going to tell me that that's a deprecated thing, and I should use, gosh, is it? All right, Omri, glad that you came by. It makes me happy to see you coming by all the time, even if it's just to say goodnight. Mwah! Sweet dreams. I think that's, no, not database. Data type dot number. Yeah, let me know when you want to have a call, because I don't think I forgot about that. You wanted to have like a chat or something, right? Let me know when. Cool. Next thing is device, and the device is going to be a device object. Cool. So we know that it's some sort of object. Okay, so it's got all of this interesting stuff. So I want to see if there's anything about devices. Doesn't look like Faker's phone. No, that's a phone number. So it would be cool to have some sort of device information that we can maybe get from Faker. Because once again, because this is going to be imitating an environment in which someone else's device is coming to the server. I don't know if Node surfaces that information for us, actually. So let's take a look up here and see what sort of stuff we actually have available in Node that we can take from real life information. Readable state is probably not going to be useful. Events, the socket's not going to be useful. The server is probably not going to be useful. Parser. Okay, so this is telling me the HTTP version. That's going to give me the headers. The headers are going to be useful. Get request URL. I will need those shortly. The client. Client is not useful. Server is not useful. Server. Bunch of things I don't need. More stuff about the headers. Yeah, so it doesn't look like Node is going to be particularly helpful with this device information. So we're going to need to create it ourselves. Accept third-party cookie is, I think that's supposed to be a Boolean, right? Yeah. So I think what we can do is maybe like fake a random like a Boolean. Data type dot Boolean. So every time that runs, it's going to give us maybe yes, maybe no. The next thing that this needs is the brand name, domain name. No, we're going to do like a random word. Faker dot random word. That's my brand name. Has Ajax support, data type Boolean, has Flash support, has cookie support, is mobile, is tablet. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Cool, is wireless. Keep on randomly generating information. Marketing name. Sure. Mobile browser. So this might be one where we want .internet. Do we have browsers on here? No. That's too bad. I think random word is fine then. Okay, mobile browser version. Mobile browser version also really doesn't matter. So I'm going to do a data type for a number. Apparently that needs to be a string. And we'll just say .to string. Operating system, random word. Actually, I'm going to use Faker utility here for, I think there's like helpers dot randomize, and that's what I want. Perfect. Android, iOS, Windows Phone, Windows. Let's do Mac OS X and Linux. Cool. Random operating system. OS version. We'll do this random number again. Model name. Random word. Physical screen height. It's a number. Physical screen width is a number. Resolution height. Yep. Cool. Now we're just watching Austin. Type enter and tabs. Cool. So that is random information for our device. Next thing we need is a method called getHeader. So this one is actually going to be helpful. getHeader. And what getHeader does is it's going to return the header based on the key. Easy enough. If it doesn't exist, it'll return undefined. Header names are case insensitive. So that's actually going to be a function that's going to take the header key, and I think that's exactly what I want. What's it saying? String or string array is not assignable to type string array. Okay. So it's complaining that this is potentially going to return a string or an array of strings, while this function is a function that only returns an array of strings. So a little bit of work we need to do there is, that's fine. We're going to return, that's our function. And then we're going to say this is once header equals that. And then we'll say return array dot is array. There you go, except this is actually backwards. If it's an array, I want to return the header. Otherwise, I want to return an array with that header. So that's going to be a string, that's going to be an array of strings, and either way we return an array of strings. Cool, that's getHeader solved. Next is getVariable. So this is going to be a fun one. And a pretty easy one, I think. Oh, did it just do it for me? Nope, not quite. So getVariable. this is based on user-defined variables. So it's going to say request.get variable is going to return this value. And I think what we're going to do is basically return process environment variables. So return process.env at variable key. And this is complaining. Yeah, that's fine. I think we can put that on one line to make it a little bit snazzy. Cool. That should work. We can test that in a moment. Okay, next thing's next. The host is request headers.host. So if I look in here, oh, it's not going to let me search. Okay. If I look at the request headers, yep, that's the host value off of the request object. So this is coming from Node. Node has some headers, and those headers are going to contain the host. So that maps. The method is the request method. That's great. The path is the request URL. That maps. The query is that's pretty awesome. Let me make sure that that's right. The query here. Yeah, so if that's the whole request for the search question mark that, then the request query is going to be, in fact, what VS Code gave us. We split at the question mark. There should only be one question mark in a URL, and the part after will be the query string. That's a clever way to do it. Okay. Next thing is remove header. Remove header is going to be a little bit more complicated, so we're going to leave that as not implemented. Respond with is going to be not implemented because that is going to be a function. No, it's going to be a method. We'll cover that another time. Set header is going to be not implemented. We can probably implement that actually. So it's going to be a function that takes the header key and the header value. Let's make sure set header, see what that looks like. Takes a name and a value. Call that a name, and just value is fine. And then, oh, that's pretty sweet. We have it built in for us. Response.setHeader is a method that takes a name and a value and sets them, which means I probably don't even need to do that. I can just assign it to that method like that, which means I wonder if response dot set header is a thing. Which no, get header. And what does that do? Yeah, so that returns. Okay. So I think what we'll do is still use that. Header is going to be that with the header key. I don't know if it has to be case insensitive. So let's try it that way. Get header. No, not going to work. Header key of string is not assignable to name of string that returns. What is it saying? Get header, which is declared on type here. Can this be dot toString? Is that what it's complaining? Yep. Okay, that works. Okay, moving on. Set header, and then the route. The route object is a method. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Request object. No, I want the route. Routes the outbound origin request to a predefined origin server, a modified path or modified query string. So what does this look like? You can take an origin, a path, and a query and redirects it. Okay, that is going to be a little bit too complicated for what I want to do. So we're going to call that a not implemented and move on. And we should be just about done. Just a couple things that have not been done yet. Scheme. I really love that this solved that for me. However, let me check something. Need to check. Okay, that looks fine. I don't know why. So it is on type socket. Let's just click fix that. Whoop. Whip. Oh, easy enough. Next thing is next. We've got our scheme. We need set variable. We're going to call that not implemented, and URL is the request URL. So, and let me see, what is the URL supposed to look like? Okay, so no, that's not it. I want URL, please. So the URL is that. So let's go to our code. And now that we have this fake test environment thing set up, I'm actually going to make sure that it looks how we expect it to look. So yeah, we've got all our weather stuff. And then I'm going to do a little pre-tag and say JSON stringify, but I don't want the weather, I want the request object. So we go back to our friendly weather forecast and we look at it. We can see everything is there, everything that we would expect. There's our user location, cool. That's our URL, which I think is correct. And the path is correct, is that right? I don't want you, the URL, if we go to the home page, should be /. And if we go to the path, okay. So that's because this is going to be like test equals 1, which means my URL should be, yep, that's right. Scheme is HTTP. And my path and my test are not correct. I believe I believe the URL is correct. The query is correct. The path is not correct because here, if we have the query string, we should not have that there. So we can fix that easy enough. Our path. I wonder if I cut that out and I say my path. Yeah, it's still giving me the same thing. Easy enough to fix. Copy that. We actually just want the first part of that. Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. There's our path. There's our query. This is the combination of the two. And I think that is correct. So do we have our host in there? Yes. Our scheme is in there. Yes. Our method is get. Yes. Cool. So we've got method, scheme, host, path, query, URL. CP code is just some random thing, which we do have. User location we have, device we have, cache key we have. Although the cache key is just a bunch of methods, so these are probably things that we'll want to re-implement at some other point. Okay, that's fine. Methods, respond with, add header, get headers, set headers, blah, 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 blah. That's looking good. Yep, we have implemented all of these methods and all of the properties, and our thing is looking cool. So we should have no more errors here. We don't, besides the undefined type. So we can fix that by going down here. No undefined types. Yeah. We can add that in there. And that should now be happy. Once I get that back up, cool. Happy once again. And that's our project so far. Cool. We have a local dev environment that very closely imitates Akamai EdgeWorkers. And with that in place, we have a local EdgeWorker running that behaves very much like one that we would expect. So the city is a string. Now our user location object here is defined because this request object is defined. Great. I think that's all I need to do. And I think that's all I have time for today. So I hope that was interesting. It was a lot of just looking at documentation and re-implementing things that already exist. But with that stuff out of the way, we can continue building out this project. And hopefully it'll be more interesting going forward because we'll actually be adding features based on what we can do with these request object stuff. All right, that's... Oh, no, you know what? We are missing one thing. Ha, ha, ha. This guy. This process env needs to be replaced. Do I have time to do that? I think I will do that tomorrow. So tomorrow, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard, come hang out. Feel free to ask some questions as well. We don't have to work on this. If you want to work on something else, let me know. All right, I will catch you next time.